When you cultivate this inner experience, you are laying the most reliable foundation for your outer achievements. Consider for a moment the way an artist works. Before a brush ever touches canvas, the vision of the painting lives fully formed in the artist's mind. Every shade, every stroke, every detail has already been seen in the imagination. Only then does the hand move confidently to bring that vision into the physical realm. Your imagination is your workshop, and the sketch you draft there determines the masterpiece you manifest here. Scientific research on mental rehearsal echoes this principle. Athletes visualize every motion before a game, musicians run through every note before a performance, and actors rehearse their lines in the quiet of their dressing rooms. Their minds create a neural blueprint so precise that when the moment arrives, their bodies follow without hesitation. You are no different. When you vividly envision yourself winning the lottery, seeing the exact numbers, observing the winning announcement on the screen, feeling the surge of exhilaration, you are wiring your mind for success. You transform an abstract hope into a tangible expectation. To begin, choose a time each day when you can be undisturbed. Early morning before the rush of the day, or late at night when the world softens into stillness works best. Sit comfortably, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Let the air fill your lungs and carry a sense of calm into every corner of your being. As your mind settles, bring forward the scene of victory. The numbers matching in perfect alignment. The announcer's voice ringing clear. The crowd's cheer rising like a wave. See yourself lifting the ticket. The paper crisp under your touch. Feel the pulsating energy of joy, the clarity of assurance that this moment is not a fantasy, but a memory you are now recalling. Speak to your inner self as though you're reminding an old friend of a shared triumph. Whisper words of gratitude. Thank you for this win. Or, I remember how amazing this felt. Gratitude infuses the image with emotion, and emotion is the secret ingredient that breathes life into your rehearsal. Without it, the vision remains a flat gray sketch. With it, the scene pulses with color and motion, drawing the conditions needed to make it real. As you practice, notice any friction, moments when doubt nags at the edges of your piece. Perhaps a voice whispers, but the odds are so long, or what if you're fooling yourself? Do not fight these doubts or berate yourself for having them. Instead, gently acknowledge their presence. I see you there. And then refocus on the winning scene. Over time, this process of gently noticing resistance and then redirecting your attention becomes as routine as breathing. Each redirection is a stroke of reinforcement, deepening the grooves in your subconscious where the image of victory resides. You may wonder, how long must I rehearse before anything changes externally? The answer is that there is no fixed timetable. Your practice is not measured in days or weeks, but by the strength of your conviction and the consistency of your rehearsal. As you continue, you may begin to notice subtle shifts, a sudden clarity about which lottery to play, an unexpected nudge to check your ticket, or a chance encounter that lifts your spirit and reminds you of your intention. These are breadcrumbs, leading you toward the banquet of your fulfilled desire. Trust that your rehearsal is more potent than you realize. The processes in the unseen realms operate according to their own pace and intelligence. Your role is to hold the scene steady and bright, refusing to let momentary setbacks dim your inner vision. Just as a lighthouse does not sway with every gust of wind, your inner conviction stands firm even when external circumstances seem unchanged. To deepen your engraving, incorporate sensory variety. Smell the leather of the chair you sit in as you imagine victory. Taste the celebratory drink you raise in your mind. Hear the applause that washes over you. The richer and more multidimensional your rehearsal, the more irresistible the magnetic pull on your circumstances. Your subconscious mind responds enthusiastically to detail. It understands the language of sensory experience, and it orchestrates events to match the reality you feed into it. Finally, carry a fragment of your rehearsal into ordinary moments. As you make tea, imagine pouring your winnings into a bank account. While walking to the mailbox, visualize seeing your tickets match numbers. These brief touches throughout the day serve as affirmations, stitching the imagined and the real into a seamless whole. Over time, your inner world and your outer world begin to dance in synchrony, each reflecting the other in perfect harmony. Your imagination is the bridge between what is and what can be. By engraving the experience of victory with unwavering clarity, you are not chasing luck, you are crafting destiny. The ticket in your hand may still be blank ink on paper, but in the theater of your mind, the show has already begun, and the final act is nothing short of triumphant. Feeling is the silent dialogue between your inner world and the unfolding of external events. When you merely think, I want to win, your mind registers a desire, but offers no compelling instruction. It's akin to reading a menu without placing an order. The chef has no guidance on what to prepare, but when you feel the thrill of holding the winning ticket, when your heart quickens as if that moment is happening now, you have placed an order so vivid that even the universe leans forward to listen. This shift from passive wanting to active experiencing transmutes your thought into a living force. Neuroscience confirms that our brains cannot always distinguish between imagined emotion and actual experience. Studies show that when you vividly feel joy or excitement in your mind, neural pathways light up in much the same way as if you were truly joyous or excited. These neural firings prime your body to act in alignment with that feeling, and they quietly reshape your beliefs at a subconscious level. Over time, the body adapts to this internal cadence, making you a living embodiment of the state you wish to manifest. To harness this principle, you first need to identify the precise emotion that corresponds with your desire. If winning the lottery feels like relief, imagine the tension melting from your shoulders as you realize the burden of lack is lifted. If it feels like freedom, taste the crisp air of a future unbound by financial worry. If it feels like celebration, hear the laughter of loved ones echoing through a room as you share the news. Pinpoint the single most authentic sensation at the core of your goal and make that the centerpiece of your rehearsal. Next, practice dwelling in that feeling until it becomes your default. Begin each session by taking 3 deep breaths, consciously releasing any lingering doubts. Then, close your eyes and allow the chosen emotion to rise within you. Do not simply think about winning. Instead, feel the warmth of the prize as though it is already in your hands. Notice how your chest expands, how a smile might naturally curve your lips, how your posture shifts. Let the sensation settle in your bones, anchoring the truth of your assumption deep within your being. Resistance often appears as a flicker of uncertainty, a question darting through your mind. But what if it never happens? When that thought arises, do not chastise yourself. Instead, treat it as a passing cloud. Acknowledge its existence, and then return your focus gently to the chosen feeling. Think of your practice as a garden. Occasional weeds may sprout, but your attention to the flowering vision will keep them from overtaking the soil. Each time you redirect your mind to the feeling, you reinforce the desired state, gradually training your subconscious to accept it as your new reality. Consistency is the bridge between feeling and manifestation. Rather than a single marathon session, opt for brief, frequent rehearsals throughout the day. A 2-minute flash of genuine excitement while waiting for your coffee, a quick taste of relief as you sit at your desk, a surge of celebration when you glance at your reflection. All of these reinforce the emotional imprint you wish to convey. Over time, the repeated pulses of feeling create a powerful feedback loop. Your inner state influences your actions, which in turn confirm the inner state, and so on, establishing a harmonious cycle that carries your desire into form. Finally, remember that feeling is not about forcing happiness or feigning excitement. Authenticity is key. If you are currently experiencing skepticism, acknowledge it quietly. Then choose the feeling that most closely aligns with your goal. You might begin with a sense of curiosity or anticipation rather than outright jubilation. Even a modest shift in emotion establishes traction. From there, you can gently elevate the feeling into full-bodied excitement. This gradual approach honors your present reality while guiding you toward the richer state you wish to inhabit. By mastering feeling as your primary tool for creation, you move beyond wishing and enter the realm of knowing. You become a participant in your own unfolding rather than an observer waiting for chance. The world you experience becomes a faithful reflection of the emotions you consistently nurture within. Speak the language of feeling with clarity and conviction, and watch how reality rearranges itself to mirror the depth of your inner state. When you commit to mental rehearsal, you're not merely daydreaming. You're creating a neural map that guides your actions and expectations. Think of it as charting a path through uncharted terrain. You may never have walked the exact route before, but by visualizing each twist and turn, your subconscious begins to anticipate what lies ahead. In the same way, when you vividly rehearse checking your lottery numbers, your mind learns to recognize and respond to the experience of winning as if it has already occurred. Each rehearsal lays down fresh connections in your brain, making the sensation of triumph more familiar and accessible. To begin, choose 2 consistent times each day, perhaps early morning before the rush of emails and evening as the world settles into stillness. Sit comfortably with your spine gently uplifted and take a few slow, deliberate breaths. As you inhale, imagine drawing in the energy of possibility. As you exhale, release any tension or doubt. Once your mind finds a calm rhythm, bring forward the scene of your lottery win. Picture the exact ticket in your hand, noting the texture of the paper and the crispness of the ink. See the numbers align one by one, shining like stars in a dark sky. Don't stop at visuals alone. Engage every sense to deepen the impression. Hear the announcer's voice crackle with excitement, the crowd erupting into applause as if you're standing on a stage. Feel the warmth of relief flooding your chest, the hairs on your arms standing at attention. Taste the celebratory sparkling drink you hold. Perhaps it's sweet apple cider or your favorite bubbly. Smell the faint aroma of fresh ink mingling with the subtle scent of anticipation. The richer your sensory tapestry, the more persuasive the rehearsal becomes to your subconscious, which equates multi-sensory experiences with reality. As you practice, speak to yourself from the vantage point of the present moment. Here I am, seeing the matching numbers, or I am tasting the sweetness of victory. These simple declarative statements anchor the scene in your consciousness. Notice how your body responds. Your heart rate may rise, your smile may form unconsciously, and a sense of exhilaration may spark through your veins. Embrace these signals as confirmation that your rehearsal is effective. The body does not distinguish between an event you vividly imagine and one you physically experience. It reacts with the same physiological patterns. Inevitably, doubts will surface, perhaps a whisper of, what if this never happens, or it's too unlikely. When those thoughts drift in, greet them with kindness. Acknowledge their presence. I hear you, doubt, but I choose to focus on my winning moment. Imagine those doubts as clouds passing across the sky of your mind, temporary and insubstantial. Then gently return to the sensory-rich scene of your triumph. Each time you redirect your focus, you strengthen the neural pathways aligned with success and weaken the ones tied to hesitation. Consistency is crucial. Rather than a single marathon session, opt for shorter, frequent rehearsals throughout the day. Even 30 seconds of vivid imagining while waiting for your coffee, or a quick replay of the winning moment before stepping into an important meeting, reinforces your conviction. These micro-practices stitch the imagined reality into the fabric of your day, making it as natural as breathing. Over time, you'll notice that your inner world begins to shape your actions. You might feel more confident buying the ticket, more alert to coincidental nudges guiding you toward the right lottery, or more open to unexpected opportunities. To keep your practice fresh, vary the angles of your rehearsal. One day, focus on the moment the numbers appear. Another day, imagine calling a loved one to share the news. You might even play out the scene of depositing the winnings into your account, feeling the security and empowerment that flood your mind. This variability prevents the rehearsal from becoming mechanical and engages different aspects of your desire, broadening the blueprint your subconscious can work from. Finally, integrate a moment of gratitude at the close of each session. As you open your eyes, silently say, "Thank you for this experience," or "I appreciate how clearly I can imagine my victory." Gratitude amplifies your practice by signaling to your inner world that you genuinely value and expect the outcome. It shifts your state from mere aspiration to appreciative certainty, the fertile ground in which manifestation grows. Through the disciplined art of mental rehearsal, you become both the director and the audience of your own unfolding story. You build an internal theater so vivid and convincing that the external world rearranges itself to match your inner script. Each sensory-rich practice, each gentle refocusing away from doubt, and each token of gratitude weaves together into a tapestry of possibility, one that supports the reality of your lottery win long before the winning numbers ever appear on paper. Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake just before sunrise, the surface smooth and reflective, only to notice ripples caused by a single pebble of doubt tossed by your own hand. In much the same way, moments of hesitation or fear can disturb the tranquil waters of your mind, but you hold the power to restore that calmness by revisiting and reshaping your inner memories. This is the art of revision, a gentle yet profound practice that allows you to erase resistance and replay your desired outcome until it becomes the most vivid truth in your consciousness. When a thought like, "maybe it won't come true," or "I'm not deserving," surfaces, it's not a sign of failure. It's simply an invitation to redirect. Consider a sculptor working with marble. Each chisel mark removes what doesn't belong until the form hidden within the stone emerges. Your mind works similarly. By identifying and refining the rough edges of your mental patterns, you reveal the refined image of your fulfilled desire. Revision is not about forcing a new thought to suppress the old, but rather gently replacing a shaky belief with the firm conviction of your chosen reality. Begin your practice by choosing a moment when you notice self-doubt or regret creeping in. Perhaps you remember the last time you bought a ticket and felt disappointed when the numbers didn't match. Instead of letting that memory linger as proof of defeat, grant yourself permission to revisit it. Close your eyes and bring the scene back into focus, but this time, replay it as you wish it had unfolded. See yourself scanning the numbers, feeling the thrill of each match, and hearing the announcer declare your win. Notice how your body responds. Your heart may beat faster, your breath may catch. And lean into that sensation of triumph. In this way, you overwrite the old memory with a new, empowering one. The beauty of revision lies in its simplicity. You don't need elaborate rituals or long hours of meditation. Even a quiet moment of 2 or 3 minutes can create meaningful change. As you lie in bed or sit at your desk, simply choose a past scene that carried resistance. Perhaps a moment when you thought the lottery was impossible for you, and imagine it differently. Make the revision as concrete as possible. Include sensory details like the texture of the ticket, the sound of the machine, the gleam of excitement in your eyes. The more vividly you color this inner movie, the deeper its roots grow in your subconscious. Resistance often wears the disguise of logic. You might think, but the odds are so low, or I've tried before without success. These thoughts are not your enemy. They are signals highlighting where your focus has strayed. Treat them as gentle reminders that your attention is wandering. When you spot one, pause and say to yourself, "Thank you for showing up," and then steer your awareness back to the revised scene of victory. This simple act of acknowledgement and redirection is like retraining a wayward puppy. You guide it kindly without scolding back to the path you wish to follow. Over time, the practice of revision becomes a form of mental housekeeping. Just as you tidy your living space to create an environment where you feel comfortable and inspired, revision keeps your inner landscape clear of cluttering doubts and fears. You'll start to notice that moments of negativity become shorter and less frequent because your mind has learned that any stray thought will be graciously met and transformed. In its place, the memory of your assumed win stands as the default. To deepen your skill, integrate revision with moments of daily reflection. At the close of each day, before drifting into sleep, recall a scene where you felt even the slightest tension around your intention. It might be a fleeting thought, "What if I never win?" that passed like a cloud. Gently rewind that memory and play it back as though triumph was guaranteed. Feel the liberation as that altered event settles into your subconscious just as you enter the dream state. In doing so, you harness the natural receptivity of your mind at rest, allowing the new imprint to take hold more readily. Remember that revision is not confined to memories of the past. You can also apply its principles to your inner dialogue about the present. If you catch yourself narrating a story of lack, "I can't afford that," or "others have better luck," pause and rewrite that script on the spot. Speak instead in the tone of someone who already enjoys the freedom you seek. "I always have more than enough," or "my turns come at the perfect time." This real-time revision strengthens your conviction and aligns your emotions with the life you're choosing to live. Scientific studies in neuroscience back this approach. When we vividly imagine a scenario, the neural circuits activated mirror those fired during actual experience. By repeatedly rehearsing your revised memories, you build fresh neural pathways that align your emotions and beliefs with success. Your brain comes to accept the new story as your default reality, and your actions begin to follow suit. Subtle nudges, inspired ideas, and synchronicities naturally weave themselves into the tapestry of your day. Finally, treat revision as an act of compassion toward yourself. You're not denying reality. You're choosing to focus on what serves your highest good. Each time you engage in this practice, you affirm your worthiness and strengthen the bond between your desires and your everyday experience. Like watering a plant in dry soil, your attention nourishes the seeds of possibility until they sprout into manifest reality. By cultivating the habit of revision, you become an active participant in the orchestration of your life. Every moment of doubt transforms into an opportunity to reinforce the vision of your lottery win. Until that vision glows so brightly within that the external world cannot help but align. In the silent theater of your imagination, the scene of victory plays on and on, clear, vibrant, and infinitely convincing, carrying you ever closer to the moment when your inner conviction crystallizes into tangible triumph. Assumptive prayer begins with a shift in consciousness. Instead of approaching your desire as something absent, you regard it as if it's already complete. Picture someone sending a letter of thanks to a friend for a gift they've already received. Their words ripple with genuine appreciation, not yearning. In the same way, your inner dialogue becomes an intimate conversation of gratitude, anchored in the certainty that your intention is fulfilled. As you practice, you'll find that this subtle reorientation rewires your mind, aligning your vibration with the reality you wish to inhabit. To embrace this approach, start by choosing a simple phrase that captures the essence of your desire. If you're focusing on winning the lottery, you might say to yourself, "Thank you for the joyful surprise of discovering my winning numbers today." Notice how that statement feels in your body. Does it elicit a smile? Does it cause a warmth to bloom in your chest? If the words resonate, let them settle into your consciousness. If they come across as hollow or forced, refine them until they spark a genuine emotional response. Authenticity is the heartbeat of this practice. Find a quiet space where interruptions are unlikely. Close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath. Feel your lungs expand as you breathe in possibility, then exhale gently, releasing any lingering tension. As you settle, bring the chosen phrase into your mind and speak it silently or aloud, whichever feels most natural. Envision the scene unfolding. Perhaps you're opening an email notification that reads, "Congratulations," or holding that ticket in your hand as the numbers match. Let the image accompany your words, reinforcing the sensation that your prayer is not a plea, but a celebration. You may notice initial resistance, a part of you that wonders if it's too bold, too presumptuous to speak as though the event has already happened. Greet that hesitation with compassion, understanding that it's simply a habit born of past conditioning. Rather than wrestle with it, gently observe the thought and return your focus to the prayer statement. Each time you do this, you strengthen the new neural pathways that support your chosen reality and weaken the old patterns rooted in lack or doubt. Consistency transforms this practice from a technique into a way of life. Integrate brief moments of assumptive prayer throughout your day, while waiting for your morning coffee to brew, during a quiet pause at your desk, or as you wind down before sleep. These micro practices serve as reminders, weaving threads of gratitude and certainty into the fabric of your everyday experience. Over time, you'll discover that your natural inner narrative shifts. Instead of a running commentary of what if, you cultivate a habitual tone of what a joy it is that, reflecting the blessings you've already embraced. Scientific studies into the placebo effect offer a compelling parallel. When patients believe wholeheartedly that a treatment will aid their recovery, their bodies often respond in measurable ways, even if the treatment itself is inert. Their conviction sparks physiological changes that mirror those brought about by real medicine. In much the same way, when you speak and feel from the assumption of fulfillment, your mind and body coordinate to create conditions that support your prayer's realization. Your posture straightens, your energy rises, and your decisions begin to align with the reality you have claimed. Another powerful facet of assumptive prayer is its capacity to dissolve inner conflict. Often we unwittingly harbor contradictory thoughts, desiring abundance while clinging to stories of limitation. By declaring your outcome as already achieved, you invite your conscious and subconscious minds to harmonize. Imagine two musicians playing different melodies on adjacent stages. The resulting noise can be jarring, but when they both play the same tune, their combined resonance fills the hall with harmonious sound. Assumptive prayer unifies the dissonance within, inviting every part of you to collaborate toward the same beautiful composition. As you deepen this practice, you may notice subtle synchronicities. A neighbor mentioning a winning lottery flash, a gentle nudge to check your ticket at just the right moment, or an unexpected bump in your mood that aligns with the energy of receiving. These are not mere coincidences, but confirmations that your inner world is echoing outward. When you speak and feel from the vantage point of accomplishment, you become a beacon, attracting circumstances and opportunities that reflect your assumed state. Remember to infuse each prayer with heartfelt gratitude. Gratitude is the emotional amplifier that magnifies your declarations and signals to your subconscious that you are genuinely aligned with the outcome. As you close your practice session, take a moment to silently list 3 specific aspects of the desired outcome for which you are most thankful. Perhaps it's the sense of security the lottery win provides, the freedom it grants you to pursue your passions, or the joyful impact it has on cherished relationships. Let each expression of thanks anchor the prayer more deeply in your being. In the days and weeks that follow, Maintain your assumptive prayer habit with unwavering gentleness. If you miss a session, forgive yourself and return as soon as you can. The journey is not about perfection, but about consistent realignment. With time, your inner life will become a fertile field of gratitude and certainty, and the outer world will mirror the fullness you've cultivated within. Assumptive prayer is more than a tool. It is an invitation to live from a place of profound trust. By speaking as though your desire already dwells in your reality, you open the door to experiences that validate your deepest assumptions. As you practice, notice how your mindset shifts, your actions become more aligned, and your world subtly reshapes itself to match the story you've chosen to tell. In this beautiful act of conscious declaration, you step into the fullness of your power, and the universe responds in kind. In the same way, resistance, those subtle doubts, fears, and hesitations, acts as a hidden blockade in your mind, diverting creative momentum and preventing the flow of your deepest desires. You might set the scene of your wish fulfilled with perfect clarity, but the moment a whisper of "what if it never happens?" or "I'm not worthy" creeps in, the momentum stalls, and the outer world reflects that interruption. Resistance often wears a cloak of logic or caution, convincing you that it's simply prudent self-protection rather than a roadblock to your goals. You might tell yourself, "I've tried before. I know better than to get my hopes up," or "it's unrealistic to expect that kind of success." These thoughts seem reasonable on the surface, but each one diverts a measure of your creative energy into fear, shrinking the magnetic force of your assumption. In effect, resistance is a silent thief, stealing back the conviction you so carefully cultivate in your imagination. To identify the precise nature of your resistance, start by noticing the language of your inner dialogue. Pay attention to the little pauses before you allow yourself to fully feel or imagine your success. If you catch a hesitation, "Maybe I should wait until I'm more prepared," you've spotted a block. Likewise, if you feel a tightening in your chest, a subtle sinking of the heart when you entertain your desire, that physical sensation marks the locus of resistance. By learning to recognize these internal cues, words, emotions, bodily sensations, you can locate the exact point where your inner critic interjects. Acknowledgement is the first step in dissolving resistance. Rather than pushing the doubt away or scolding yourself for having it, greet the thought gently. "I see you there, fear, and I appreciate that you're looking out for me." This act of compassionate recognition transforms your relationship with resistance. It no longer lurks in the shadows, but becomes an invited guest at your table, where you can calmly show it the door. By naming the doubt without judgment, you deprive it of its power to derail your practice of imagining the wish fulfilled. Once acknowledged, the next step is substitution. Replace each counter thought with an empowering conviction that aligns with your goal. If the doubt whispers "you can't really win," affirm instead, "I am fully capable of receiving this blessing." Choose a phrase that resonates with your heart, short, affirmative, and present tense. Speak it quietly to yourself, or write it in a journal next to the cited doubt. This deliberate act of contrast, spotting the negative belief and then immediately injecting a positive alternative, begins to rewire your neural pathways toward confidence rather than fear. Neuroscience reveals that our brains are remarkably malleable, continuously forging and pruning connections based on repeated thought patterns. When you practice substitution consistently, you're effectively training your mind to favor beliefs of possibility over beliefs of limitation. Each time you catch a negative thought and replace it, you strengthen the synapses tied to empowerment and weaken those bound to resistance. Over weeks of practice, this silent inner work accumulates until your first reaction to a wavering thought becomes automatic redirection toward your desired reality. The practical tools can support this process. Keep a small notepad or digital note where you jot down any resistance as it arises. Beside each entry, write the empowering statement you intend to use as a substitute. Review this list daily, ideally first thing in the morning and just before sleep, rehearsing each pairing in your mind. You can also create brief mental cues, like tapping your thumb and finger together whenever you detect resistance, and use that gesture to anchor your chosen affirmation. Over time, the act of substitution becomes as natural as breathing. Incorporate brief moments of mindfulness into your routine to catch resistance before it gains momentum. While washing dishes, walking, or waiting in line, tune into your inner conversation. Notice if any shadows of doubt flicker across your awareness. When they do, pause, take a grounding breath, and engage your substitution practice. These micro-interventions disrupt the habitual flow of resistance, giving your consciousness repeated opportunities to choose conviction instead. The cumulative effect of these small victories transforms the landscape of your mind. As you persist in this gentle yet determined approach, you'll begin to see subtle shifts in your external circumstances. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach may surface unexpectedly. You'll find yourself taking inspired actions, perhaps buying a ticket on a whim when a burst of confidence strikes, or following an intuitive suggestion to check your numbers at just the right moment. These synchronicities are not random, but the natural unfolding of a mindset that has resolved its inner conflicts and reclaimed its creative momentum. In the end, resistance is nothing more than a misaligned current in the ocean of your mind, one you have the power to reroute with simple acts of awareness and substitution. By treating doubt as an informative signal rather than an insurmountable barrier, and by replacing it with unwavering affirmations, you free your imagination to flow unimpeded. The world you experience becomes a faithful mirror of that liberated inner state, revealing the manifestation you first dared to believe possible. Faith begins with a thought unburdened by evidence. Consider the inventor who sketches a machine on a scrap of paper long before the first bolt is tightened, or the writer who hears each character's voice in the silence before the pen ever meets the page. These pioneers move forward not because proof lies before them, but because their imagination has already constructed the unseen architecture of success. In the same way, when you hold unwavering belief in your lottery win, despite the blank face of tomorrow's ticket, you activate the subtle forces that translate expectation into tangible reality. To cultivate this kind of faith, first become aware of your everyday beliefs. Notice the quiet statements you repeat to yourself. I'll believe it when I see it, or that kind of luck isn't meant for me. These phrases, repeated often, form neural pathways that anchor you to the realm of the familiar. To shift your experience, gently replace them with affirmations rooted in assumed reality. I already know my ticket is a winner, or my prize is flowing to me now. Speak these declarations with the same ease you would announce the arrival of an old friend. Over time, your mind will stop resisting and begin working on your behalf. Neuroscience offers encouraging insights. When we embrace beliefs with consistent emotional intensity, our brains adjust their wiring to support those beliefs. In one study, participants who visualized learning a physical skill activated the same brain regions as individuals who actually performed the movement, reinforcing that internal conviction can prime the body for external achievement. By holding faith in your unseen lottery victory with genuine feeling, joy, relief, excitement, you're training your brain to accept that state as normal, effectively bridging the gap between imagination and experience. But faith is not blind optimism, it's an intentional anchor amid uncertainty. Picture a sailboat on open water. The wind may shift unexpectedly, waves may rise higher than expected, yet a steadfast anchor secures the vessel when conditions grow rough. Your faith functions in the same way. External events may wobble your confidence, a missed drawing, a well-meaning skeptic, or a moment of discouragement, but the inner anchor of your belief holds firm, ensuring you remain poised for opportunity rather than drifting toward doubt. Cultivating faith also means welcoming uncertainties with curiosity rather than fear. When you notice a flicker of worry, what if I'm fooling myself? Allow it to surface without judgment. Ask yourself, what if this is exactly why I see it, before it becomes real? By reframing hesitation as a sign you're on the brink of something new, you turn potential stumbling blocks into stepping stones. This gentle shift in perspective keeps your attention directed toward possibility, enticing circumstances to align with the energy you emanate. Regular practices help reinforce this invisible conviction. Begin each day with a brief moment of silent declaration. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and mentally affirm that your winning ticket is already in your hand. Feel the joy swell in your chest as if you were reliving the moment again and again. Throughout the day, carry a small talisman, perhaps a coin or a written reminder that you touch whenever you seek to reconnect with your faith. These simple rituals train your mind and body to dwell habitually in the state of belief, weaving faith into the fabric of your life. As your faith deepens, you'll start noticing subtle signs of alignment. Perhaps you feel led to purchase a ticket at an unexpected time, or a friend casually mentions a new lottery with better odds. These synchronicities are not random coincidences, but invitations from the universe responding to your inner conviction. Just as the tides respond to the moon's silent pull, so do events respond to the magnetic force of your belief. By staying receptive, you welcome these nudges as confirming your path rather than dismissing them as luck. In nurturing faith, remember that true belief is naturally accompanied by joy. When you imagine your desired outcome, allow yourself to laugh, to breathe more fully, and to savor the relief that comes from knowing your wish is already granted. Resistance often arises from treating faith as a solemn duty. By infusing your practice with lightness and genuine delight, you reduce friction and invite the creative process to flow harmoniously. Ultimately, faith in the unseen is the bridge between thought and substance. It is the inner compass that guides you through uncertainty and the engine that powers your imagination into action. By choosing to believe wholeheartedly in what has not yet appeared, you set in motion the dynamics of manifestation, transforming the ephemeral into the concrete. Step forward with faith as your companion and watch as the once impossible becomes the undeniable fabric of your everyday life. Persistence in the imagined state is far more than mere repetition. It is a steadfast refusal to allow external circumstances to dilute your inner certainty. When you first begin to imagine your intention, perhaps the joy of holding winning lottery numbers, you experience a rush of excitement. But as days pass, the magnetism of that feeling can wane, drowned out by the clamor of daily life and the unrelenting logic of what is. At these junctures, most people let go of their rehearsal, telling themselves, I'll come back to it when things settle down. Yet things rarely settle down on their own. The true test of manifestation lies in sustaining that imagined reality, even when life feels turbulent. To cultivate this unwavering persistence, anchor your practice in a central daily ritual. Choose a specific moment, sunrise, midday pause, or the stillness before sleep, when you will return to your imagined scene without fail. Create a small physical cue to support you, a stone on your bedside table, a note on your mirror, or the simple act of placing your hand over your heart. Each time you engage in the ritual, you're reinforcing neural pathways that speak the language of this is true. Over time, these pathways become so well-worn that your mind recognizes your desire as part of your personal identity, rather than a fleeting fancy. Yet persistence isn't about robotic consistency. It's about reinvigorating your rehearsal with fresh emotion and detail. Imagine the difference between listening to the same song on repeat until it grows stale versus exploring a beloved melody anew with each hearing. When you revisit your scene, vary the sensory elements. Focus on the laughter of celebration one day, the glowing numbers another, the hush of anticipation on a third. By deepening and diversifying your imagined experience, you keep the practice alive and compelling, like tending a flame with fresh kindling rather than dousing it with stale wood. A key challenge arises when appearances blatantly contradict your vision. A week may pass without any sign of progress. Well-meaning friends might caution you about wasting time. Your own doubts may grow louder in the solitude of night. In such moments, persistence demands more than stubbornness. It calls for compassion toward yourself. Recognize that your inner editor is merely trying to protect you from disappointment. Instead of silencing that part of your mind harshly, thank it for its care and invite it to rest while you step back into the imagined reality. By treating doubt as a companion rather than an adversary, you maintain the gentle tenacity required to see your intention through. True persistence also includes celebrating even the smallest affirmations. If in a casual moment you feel a surge of excitement at a coincidental mention of a lottery drawing, pause and nourish that spark. A single minute of genuine rejoicing, closing your eyes, placing a hand over your heart, and truly feeling your imagined victory can rejuvenate your practice for days to come. These micro moments of acknowledgement are the lifeblood of persistence. They remind your subconscious that this is not an obligation, but a passion you choose to keep alive. Educational research into habit formation shows that consistency builds identity. When you engage in a behavior daily, even for a few minutes, your brain starts to categorize it as part of who you are. Over weeks, these moments of rehearsal become as automatic as brushing your teeth, no longer requiring willpower to initiate. The energy you once spent convincing yourself to imagine victory is gradually freed to deepen the feeling itself. With persistent practice, your daily imagining becomes less a task and more a natural expression of self. Consider also the power of accountability. Share your intention without divulging details with someone who will honor your practice. Perhaps you and a friend agree to check in briefly each morning. Did you take your 3 minutes today? This gentle check kindles an external acknowledgement of your inner vow, strengthening your resolve. You're no longer the sole guardian of your vision. It becomes a shared commitment, elevated by the simple act of being witnessed. Finally, expand your persistence into action. While your primary focus remains the imagined state, allow your inner certainty to guide your real-world choices. If an intuition hints you to buy a ticket at an odd hour, follow it without overthinking. If an inspired idea surfaces about using a particular platform or method, explore it. These small, faith-driven actions serve as real-world extensions of your inner persistence, blurring the line between imagination and manifestation. They demonstrate to yourself and to the universe that your vision is not confined to the theater of your mind, but is the compass directing each step you take. In the end, persistence in the imagined state is your greatest ally because it tells the world and your own subconscious that this vision is non-negotiable. It transcends fleeting motivation and builds a fortress of conviction around your desire. Each day you return to your rehearsal, each moment you choose the imagined reality over the apparent, you reinforce the truth of your intention. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the outer world aligns with the steadfast insistence of your inner landscape, and what once lived only in vision unfolds into the tangible blessing you have so diligently summoned. And now, as the final curtain falls on this exploration of inner mastery, carry with you the understanding that the lottery ticket in your hand is but a symbol of the greater prize, your own creative power. You have seen how the image you impress upon your imagination becomes the scaffold upon which reality is built, how feeling deepens that blueprint into living substance, and how persistent rehearsal and heartfelt gratitude usher your vision into being. You've learned to revise limiting memories, to pray from the vantage point of fulfillment, to tend gently to resistance, and to anchor your faith in the unseen until it shines through every corner of your life. Let this journey remind you that the outer world is merely an echo of your inner convictions. Each time you sit in quiet rehearsal, each moment you celebrate your invisible triumph, you send a clear signal to the universe. You are ready and deserving. As you step forward, notice the subtle shifts. A timely inspiration, a chance encounter, the gentle tug toward opportunity. And honor them as confirmations that your inner work is bearing fruit. Hold fast to the vow you made at the outset, to persist in your imagined victory with unwavering joy. In doing so, you transform the act of playing the lottery into a profound practice of self-creation, one that extends far beyond any single drawing. May your confidence grow, your gratitude deepen, and your life align ever more closely with the truth you've courageously chosen to embody.